Recent research into plant communication is revolutionising our understanding and consequent relationship to plants. Recent studies have revealed that plants can not only sense sound, but also produce sounds, and they can learn, comprehend and respond to sonic stimulus. We also know that trees have a quite sophisticated communication network via their root system and via vast mycelium fungi networks that link the roots of different tree families and even between different tree species. This network has been infamously called the Wood Wide Web. In addition, we also know trees can communicate chemically via spores and scents travelling in the wind to neighbouring trees, warning them, for instance, of an imminent threat of a leaf-eating herbivore. So based on these scientific discoveries and the fact that trees have been around and evolving for 300 million years, as opposed to just 300,000 years for us humans, it doesn't require a great leap of imagination to wonder if plants and trees can and do communicate in some way through sound. And if this is the case, then can we assume the trees around us are essentially listening and talking in some way? Being the self-conscious monkeys that we are, it comes as no surprise that the next question is, are they listening and talking about us? This is where the premise of our research comes in. Artists specialise in the art of imagination, so our inspiration and journey here today is to see how an artist using the forefront of technology can examine the findings and questions arising from these scientists' work through an interactive and creative lens. We believe the key to these questions is to think of trees as not merely municipal objects or as individual vegetal matter, but as subjective entities that are part of a network in which we are part, a dynamically changing system that is eternal, and a network that is in perpetual storytelling. We invite you, the audience, to provide the collective hive mind that can explore, play and find new connections that the scientists may miss, and in the process help us to devise the right questions to unlock a greater understanding of our relationship with plants and trees. We encourage you to explore this virtual space and the network of sounds by approaching the trees in the park and building your own spatial composition. The experience is open-ended, so take your time. We encourage you to explore this virtual space and the network of sounds by approaching the trees in the park and building your own spatial composition. The experience is open-ended, so take your time. Most of the research has been conducted either in natural forest habitats or with specific potted plants in laboratory greenhouse conditions, but very little has been done in urban scenarios. A forest is like a dense city of trees. In this sense, an urban city is like a dense forest of humans. In a natural forest, the trees have a sophisticated wood wide web. They are the dominant figures, and we are the visitors. As humans, we tend to tune into the forest, drawing from it a different kind of sensibility, often using it as an escape and a solace from our busy urban consumer lives. Within the context of an urban city, we have our own worldwide web, we have social infrastructure networks, and we are the dominant figures. So, in this urban context, do trees tune in to our sensibility? Do they become a kind of carbon junkie? Isolated from their forest networks, are they more atomised, individualistic and feral? Or conversely, are they acting as like outreach ambassadors from the forest, desperately trying to guide and catch our attention? Most of the research has been conducted either in...
I got it. And then you can maybe fine-tune your growth to the actual source. And of course, more recently, with peas, the common green garden pea, we have seen now how sound actually play a role not only in reproduction, so with the pollinators, not only in defense, but also in the way in which plant can find resources. And of course, one of the resources that plants are after is water. And what we found was that plants can detect the source of water at a distance without water being even there, but just the sound of. And so, of course, they grow with gravity straight down, and then suddenly they turn when you hit a particular range. Of course, the exciting part is the part from the 100 to 400 hertz, but most interestingly, the 300 hertz. Because that is the range that this particular species at this life stage seems to be interested in the sound source. And so we have that behavior. Starts building up the defenses as if there is a caterpillar inside and is chewing someone's leaves. And so I better start going and protect myself. Again, more recently, as we started... Plants will talk to us and we will be able to hear them. It's very ingrained, and either it's something that we really like as a story and we keep carrying it through time, or maybe there is something there that we haven't dared exploring. So when you do that, you might find something surprising. And I guess this is what part of my research did. And what we now know is that plants definitely emit their own sounds, and this is from the roots, from corn, a baby corn. Now the interesting thing about this is that the distance from the source, so from the root, you can measure this signal up to 5 centimeters away. You might think that that's not very far, but if you are this big and you grow a lot every day, 5 centimeters is a lot, because it's likely that at 5 centimeters distance, someone else around you will pick up that signal and take it somewhere else. We only had brief times, but involving personal experience. And this is also important because what it's really saying is that there is a field of perception, and the dog, through his own imagination, so creating images of something that is not
tree time. People talk of how time seems to slow down or become less relevant to them within forests, whilst time is the primary commodity and driver of the city. As self-centred humans, we tend to assume our awareness of time is the measure of how time flows, but there is growing evidence to suggest that perhaps different species operate on a different speed to us. Birds and insects, for example, may operate in a faster time frame to us. What may seem like an instant to us may be perceived more like a slow Mexican wave to a flock of starling birds, for example. Conversely, one must ask if trees that can live from 300 or 400 years to thousands of years, and some possibly even indefinitely, perhaps operate on a slower time frame to us. For example, a nutrient can take several seconds to pass between roots. If you were to consider each of these like a synapse in our brains, trees could exist on a much slower form of time to us, or what we like to call a kind of tree time.
To produce their own insecticides. Because, that's not what's happening. That can't be what's happening. There's no intention. There can't be transmission or reception in any but epiphenomenal way. It has to be merely accidental. To say that they're sharing an immune system is, anthropomorphizing. Well, see, there's the word. I think this prohibition against allowing anything to resemble us has gone so far that it's made it impossible for us to see where there are legitimate resemblances. The prohibition against anthropomorphism has produced an anthro-exception.